Shut the light off out there.
Cut it out.
Rook, shut it off.
Yeah, I will.
Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores.
What, John?
I was just going
You
to
guys
tell
had
you, Joe,
20
that she
minutes
has
to
taken
talk.
money, but I can't find anything current.
Okay.
Well, Chris, it takes research. I can't read it on Twitter in 2 sentences.
Yeah, that's right. Fratelloni's Hardware and
Rolling.
Fratelloni's Hardware and Garden Stores brings you Garage Logic Podcast number 1429, November 19th, 2024. The record high on this day was 65 degrees in 1930, 5 below in 1932, and I have another weather note because I believe they're important to understand the world we live in. Yesterday I noted that the record high for November 18th, which was yesterday, was 68 degrees in 1941. All right? Okay. What happened a week before that in 1941?
Snowstorm.
The worst blizzard in Minnesota history. So I only thought weird, wild weather swings only happened today. Oh, you mean this could happen back then? 1941, yesterday, it was 68 degrees, and the week before, duck hunters were dying because of a terrible, terrible blizzard. Isn't that something? Thank you. Goodbye. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Do it. Do some damn thing.
Hail the flashlight king.
And now, from the mayor's office above the boathouse on the east shore of Spoon Lake, it's Garage Logic with Chris Reuvers manning Technology Corner, Kenny Olson from the Krabby Coffee Shop, John Heidt in the newsroom, and of course, the Rookie. Here is your flashlight king, fireworks commissioner, and the keeper of common sense, your mayor, Joe Sourcheray.
Vlad warns nuclear. Ukraine battle, 1,000th day. Moscow directly threatens USA. Plan to kill Zelensky. Germany plans for World War III. Those are the 5 leading headlines on the Drudge Report.
How do you prepare for nuclear winter?
I'd like to know, because I'd just soon have a snort if we're going out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd like to know.
do we get a heads up?
And I'd buy a pack of Luckies. I mean, if we're going to have this happen,
That
let's...
first drag, huh?
Ooh. Somebody give me a heads up
Because,
here.
I mean, I got a car payment. I got a mortgage
No,
payment.
skip it.
Okay.
Why did Biden... See, we don't know anything anymore. We don't know who's running the country. We don't know motives for anything. Everything's up in the air. But there's certainly a theory out there that Biden is greeting this unwelcome Trump victory by saying to Zelensky, go ahead and use those missiles, those long rangers, see if you can get anything fired up over there. And all of a sudden now Zelensky's got the long-range missiles, and they're being fired into Russia. So I don't know what's going on.
So you're saying the Democrats would prefer to end life as we know it in the United States rather than allow Trump to take over?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want
I
to
guess that's what I'm saying.
get that on the
Dedication.
record.
Dedication.
It is.
I thought I had issues. Boy,
No, you're all right.
that Biden guy's really got some issues.
I don't know who this guy is. Steve Gruber, who's that? He's got a show. He's thinking just that they want to sacrifice the country in order to prevent.
Is the name of his show the Steve Gruber Show?
I suppose. I don't know. It's a Twitter thing, so I
Clever,
was
very
being very
clever.
careful. John in Arizona has a ruling request. His daughter was offered the opportunity to play TPC Scottsdale, home of the Waste Management Open. She shot an 85 and included birdies on both the 16th and the drivable 17th hole. My question is, how long do I get to rub it in the face of everyone I meet? This was her first time playing the course. I don't think it will be the last. Well, I don't know what you have to rub in, pal. She did the scoring. She has every right in the world to rub it in to your friends, you and your older friends. I'm assuming if she's your 18-year-old daughter, does it say 18? I don't know. Rub it in then, I guess.
Is that where we heckle the golfers?
Oh, he doesn't give the age of the daughter. Where did I get the idea she was 18? I have no idea how old your daughter is, John, but it's congratulations to her. I think you can crow about it all of you. The whole family should crow about it. I know I would.
Yeah, that's the tourney where there's no rules and there's
Right.
cheering and drunkenness.
There's rules, Matt. There's
Etiquette. I should say etiquette. Maybe
there's rules. We always have rules.
you know.
I watched a documentary. It was on YouTube. Where else? About the city of Baku in Azerbaijan. And
You're fascinated by this.
well, it's no wonder these frauds went there.
Say that again. Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan.
Thank you, Thurston Howell III.
Well, it's on the Caspian Sea. It's ancient, 12th century type buildings still exist, and towers and walls. It's beautiful, beautiful city. No wonder these hysterians went there. And I have a couple of thoughts. One, it's pretty ironic. I didn't know that Baku was on the F1 circuit. The Formula One racers race through the streets of Baku. You would think that people who think the world's ending because of evil gasoline would not hold their world's ending conference.
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan, that's what I said.
Azerbaijan.
Azerbaijan. You would think they would not hold. You would think why don't they go somewhere that's been ravaged by climate change?
Right.
Maybe it's
like
'cause-
maybe Daytona,
Or
Florida.
North Carolina.
Well, maybe they can't find one because there isn't anything ravaged by climate change. The world changes, the climate changes. The flux of population can alter the landscape of a place. In any event, the documentary is done in the fashion of attracting you there as a tourist, and I can certainly understand why people would want to go there. The delightful old town with the narrow, you got to have
Sure.
the narrow
Yeah.
streets
Yep.
with the little lamps on the walls and
course.
the whole deal. It's just fantastic. And today we get a piece from
you know what-
Dateline. Yes.
Do you know what language they speak? In
Bakuish?
Azerbaijan?
No,
Azerbaijani.
really.
Yes.
And, I don't mind that they're led by a tyrant. The guy likes oil. That's good for me. It's all about me. And so I was reading today in the Minnesota paper. I don't like calling it that, but that's what it's called now, the Minnesota Star Tribune. And they finally have gotten around, the conventional press that is, to reporting the remarks of the president, Ilham Aliyev, who is my new hero, even though he's a tyrant.
Right.
He's my new hero because he said natural resources are a gift from God, and these people are now beside themselves. They don't know what to do. And so they're hosting tens of thousands of visitors. And while doing so, Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev has called oil and gas a gift of God. Countries should not be blamed, he said, for bringing these resources to the market. People need them, Aliyev said. And then Seth Borenstein and all the rest of them are just tearing their hair out.
Right.
How can we spin this? And scientists and climate policy experts and the UN people are very worried that that's the wrong message. And we learned that China and India are really catching up in their output of pollutants. They're really catching up.
Oh, they are.
But see, you never hear about them. You only hear about the U.S.
Right.
It's only the U.S. that should pay.
They're only 3 games behind in the standings.
That's right. And,
Did you see the picture of the pollution in India today in the paper?
no, but I bet it's a doozy.
It's like a really foggy morning here. You can't see
Yeah.
the house across the street.
Yeah.
It's exactly what it looked like, but it was all smog.
Well, that's the way it gets in China, too.
Chunks of soot?
Yeah.
We don't get that in
Yeah.
the U.S. because we're ahead of the curve on trying to. I spent a lot of time in L.A. in the 70s.
Yeah.
And it was
Studio 54, huh?
Yeah.
No,
What's up, bro?
No,
That's
Checking it out.
in New
This is
York.
New York.
That's
New
in
York.
New York.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
You moron.
Studio 45.
That's
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
the Rainbow Room.
The
fellas.
Rainbow Room.
The
There you go.
Troubadour. The Troubadour. Topanga Canyon. Yeah, I hung out with all them guys.
Inspiration Point.
Yeah. I went to, seriously, I went to Paradise Cove where Rockford had his trailer in the TV show.
What was he doing?
I mean, there's really a Paradise Cove,
Anyway.
Malibu. So where was I? Oh, in the early 70s, L.A. was horrible, but we've cleaned it up, not the UN.
Did you see how Azerbaijan snagged the conference?
I'm trying to read that right now, and
Yeah.
I keep getting waylaid.
Yeah, hurry up and get to it. It's fascinating. Quit screwing around here. Try to run a show.
Azerbaijan earned the chance to host this year's COP only because of a geopolitical quirk. The event rotates by region, and Eastern Europe was slated for the role this year, but Russia, because of its rivalry with the West, refused to accept any EU host. That opened the door for Azerbaijan, which clinched the bid with its longtime rival Armenia. Its longtime rival Armenia offered its support to Baku in exchange for a release of some prisoners. Azerbaijan called the conference a COP of peace. Well, it really isn't, but it's leading me to
Piece of what?
It's a piece of
Yeah.
dung, is what it is. At the COP, the president Ilham Aliyev, made the case that Azerbaijan is fundamentally misunderstood. He said the country is not. The country is not a petrostate. It is being targeted by a coordinated, well-orchestrated campaign of slander and blackmail. He took aim at the Western fake news media in his opening day address and called out the U.S. for oil production far exceeding Azerbaijan's. They better look at themselves, he said. That comes to you from a tyrant. I have a new theory about the whole climate change deal. You ready?
Yep.
Because I
Give it
need to
to
come
me.
up with new ways to discuss it. And I was reading on Glenn Beck's site, The Blaze, that Bill Gates has a plan to save us.
Oh,
to,
good.
To save the Earth,
Okay.
Yep.
right? He wishes to block the sun.
Yep.
Well, a nuclear war would do that.
Put up a big shade.
He has the money, and he wants to block out the sun, which I disapprove of. I don't think that we should do that. He's backing a geoengineering project that would inject particles into the atmosphere to
Oh, boy.
reflect solar rays.
Somebody put him in jail. My God.
Supposedly cooling the planet to reverse global warming.
Oh, jeez.
It sounds like a science fiction plot, but it's happening, and the implications are vast and unsettling. In short, a handful of tech moguls and venture-backed startups would be meddling with God, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
They'd be meddling with our planet's climate on a scale that none of us voted for and none of us fully understand. It's called stratospheric aerosol injection. Gee whiz. It aims to bounce sunlight back into space by dispersing particles in the upper atmosphere. But experts caution the fallout could be devastating and unpredictable to weather patterns, crop failures, droughts, even shifts in hurricanes, and on and on and on. Here's the problem. Here's where I develop my new theory. There are two kinds of people who maintain the climate hysteria.
Okay. Who are they? What are the two?
One would be the Gates type. They don't believe in anything. Therefore, they've chosen to believe that they could literally have a role in nature. They don't believe anything. I don't think Gates is pounding the pew every Sunday.
Right.
So Gates and his like-minded crackpots, nutcases, with more money than they know what to do with, they believe they can prevent global warming. I'm not even sure they believe in it. What they believe in is their own power to triumph over nature. Heretofore, we believe and continue to believe that man is not bigger than nature. Gates is vain enough to believe he is.
And has the power to save us
So
all.
there's that crowd. There's the crowd that believes we can do this. We can alter the power of the sun. We can change weather by our money and by stratosphere aerosol injection. I'm not done yet.
Yeah, I've got some questions, too.
The other side are just weak people who also don't believe in anything. So they believe that somehow they're wronging the earth by their very existence. They don't believe anything. So both crowds don't believe anything, but don't believe in anything for two different reasons. What was your hand up for?
I do believe there is one person that has that power to take away the sun. That's Pooty.
I don't believe that.
I think
Oh,
you're,
yeah, with the nuclear
the
winter.
nuclear
Yeah,
winter.
Yeah.
I think your naive innocence is very charming here, and I love that you've come up with this.
I sense some condensation.
This answer, Joe. But I don't believe that he actually believes that throwing up a lead paint in asbestos fog bank is going to do anything. I don't think his motivation is him thinking he can change the weather. I think his motivation is money. And I think he will sell us and tell us anything in order to get more money. This is all dollar based. This will never see the light of day, but he, trust me, will make money on this. I think that's his motivation, 100%.
And Rookie, before you spoke, said he senses condensation.
Yeah, a lot of water.
I think you meant condescension.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is that whole little speech I gave?
I meant his spit was
all
going to
he
be
wanted.
flying
It's
out
not
of his mouth.
condescension.
As long as we're there, Studio 54 is on West 54th Street in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah, we told you
Not-
that.
Not Los Angeles.
Yeah,
We
Kenny-
all knew that.
I disagree. I don't believe he's doing it for money. I believe he actually believes he can do this. You say there's not a chance of it happening. I fear that it will. I do fear that the tinkering will get out of hand. I believe these people are insane to a degree. They're insane. They've lost sight of their principles, and they've lost sight of the common man. They've lost sight of human nature, and they're a James Bond bad guy come to life.
Thank you. I was actually going to say, weighing in your favor on this argument, Joe, is the many interviews that he's been doing for the last couple of years talking about this idea. But I wasn't even going to give him James Bond credit. I was going to say Austin Powers.
Yeah, he's Austin Powers.
Yeah, because that's what he is.
and the
He's
other
just a
side-
criminal mastermind.
And the other side are the timid, prematurely gray-haired people who have signs in their yard, and all are welcome here, and they're just so afraid that their footprints alone are causing harm to Gaia, and they fear for. There's nothing wrong with nature. Man is not bigger than nature, and the danger is Gates believes he is. I don't doubt that for a moment. I believe Gates, and he's probably got enough billionaire friends that they believe they can engineer and control. They believe that in their minds they see a thermostat and they can make the world whatever they want it to be. And in the meantime, you got these people in Azerbaijan who have no role whatsoever. They're just go-betweens for money. They're trying to get money to redistribute. And the money, they would most ideally want the money to come from the United States, because it's the United States that's under attack. No matter which way you go with climate hysteria, it's the U.S. that would take the fall for it. And it's all nonsense. It's all BS, and it's brought to you by people who have quit believing in anything, and now they'll believe in anything.
What do you think the dollar figure is, Joe, where you go from being a normal person with, ideas and good businesses, et cetera, to being just completely criminally insane? How much do you have to have in the bank to turn into that?
Probably $100 billion.
Yeah.
That you might just become, that's it, I'm done.
It's gotta
I'm
be-
now officially nuts, and I'm going to show you that I can control the weather.
An absurd amount of billions.
I mean, there's only so much bridge you can play.
Yeah.
There's only so many Ferraris you can buy.
I bet you he hates it that he has to go number 2 every day, just like normal
why do I
civilians.
have to do
I'm having $100 billion.
Why must I?
Why do I have to spend time in there? I'm above that.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's always had, interest in microbiome research, and it goes way beyond philanthropic interests. He I don't trust him. I don't trust him. He's interested in food production and vaccine development. I don't trust him. It's part of a broader vision, I'm reading from the piece again, that merges the two worlds, a concept that becomes most evident when you look at initiatives like edible vaccines. The blending of food and medicine sounds revolutionary, promising a streamlined way to deliver health interventions, but it brings questions. Who controls that supply chain? Who decides which treatments are slipped into our food? Embedding medicine into our meals, which Gates is also into, could just as easily make us sicker and more compliant. Maybe that's the point. In an interview with Bild, one of Germany's largest media outlets, Gates spoke about the critical relationship between the microbiome of mothers and the future of children. He warns that disruptions in both the intestinal and vaginal microbiomes can have severe outcomes. An imbalanced vaginal microbiome, he argues, is linked to stillbirth and premature births, while a disrupted intestinal microbiome can heighten susceptibility to diseases like HIV. According to Gates, these imbalances drive malnutrition in children, not due to lack of food, but because of chronic intestinal inflammation.
Maybe a washcloth every now and then.
So
wet wipes.
he is out there. I mean, he's gone. He's gone. There's not a word that comes out of his mouth that any rational human being should trust.
I don't think I'd like to sit down and have a beer with him.
Adding the word micro really doesn't help matters either, does it?
Right.
It's too close to morbid.
Yeah.
Micro, macro, gigantic.
Sometimes you just got to keep plowing through her, huh?
You know, the food thing, though, the medicine and the food thing got me to thinking about everything we've been seeing on social the last 6 months about how food engineered in the United States is different than that in European countries. So he might actually be onto something.
As I've said, RFK Jr. studies this stuff.
Yeah, he's on it.
If he wants to have a sit down with this nation every month, have a fireside chat, and warn us about food, I'm all ears.
Listen, fatty, those cookies that you're getting from Walmart,
That's
they're
right.
going to kill you.
That's when they are.
Give them to me.
They're so good, Joe. Oh, my goodness.
Read the package.
But it's fudge and peanut butter, and oh, my God. Oh.
I'm pausing because I'm wondering, do you think Gates is part of this so-called deep state?
Without a doubt. Of course he is.
I don't think...
I've got no proof.
Right.
Or evidence.
that cracker
But, you know.
who runs Facebook, what's his name?
Zuckerberg.
I don't think he is. I don't think they'd accept him. I think he's not. I think he just got lucky with his wealth. What about?
Well, he did steal it, the idea, from a couple of.
What about from the Winkletoes, the Twinkletoes twins? That's where.
Twinkletoes.
Yeah, the the Twinklefoss brothers at Harvard or Yale, wherever he went. They were the Twinkletoes brothers. They invented this, and he ripped them off in school.
Yeah.
Do you think
Something like
Bezos
that.
is part of the deep state?
His money is still pretty new.
In other words, I don't think there's any poor people in the deep state.
The Twinkle Brothers were formed in 1962 by brothers Norman and Ralston.
I'm not thinking of that.
They were
Chris.
a percussion
Chris, I don't
band.
have time for this.
Well, I'm trying
Well,
to
you're
figure.
being ridiculous. That's not who I'm talking about.
That's exactly what you just
No,
said.
no, they're
just-
called they're the
you
Twinkle
just-
Foss or something.
you just
They have a
said
funny name. They're in the news once in a while.
Okay.
They landed on their feet. They got a few bucks.
Yeah,
What's their
didn't
name?
you see
John?
the movie?
Yeah. What's
Yeah, I'm
their
looking.
name?
I'm looking.
Winklefoss or
Are they the two that killed their parents in
That's
L.A.?
Menendez.
no, that's a Menendez.
No.
Holy Christ!
Come on,
Newsom's
you
gonna let
idiots!
him
You
out.
all got a computer.
That's
There we go.
You come up with the Twinkle
Tyler-
Brothers from the '60s.
Tyler and Cameron Winklevoss.
Thank you.
Winklevoss.
Winklevoss.
Winklevoss. I was pretty damn
Yes.
close. I said Twinkle Toes.
You were Twinklehead.
Winklevoss.
Studio 54 was in Manhattan.
Fred Flintstone's nickname.
Yeah, well, speaking of Fred Flintstone, don't we already have food that's chewable medicine? Flintstone vitamins.
Twinkle Voss, Tyler's
You know?
worth $1 billion.
Yeah,
You're right.
They're all right. They came out out ahead, didn't they?
Yep.
They're all right. See, at $1 million, though, you're not nuts yet.
Right.
$1 million, you're not nuts. You got to have 100 million, and then you live in a castle with lightning bolts crackling overhead, and you're inventing things for your vagina. I have no idea.
Knockers.
Boom.
Thank you, doctor.
How about we take a pause?
Sometimes I don't know about garage logic. We're on to something, but the problem is we don't know what.
Those guys talk politics a lot. They talk politics.
We're on to something. We just don't know what it is. We know something's wrong someplace. We just haven't been able to nail it down.
Right.
We're on to something. We're on to something with these crackpots gathered in Baku. They're gathered there to figure out a way to fleece us. It has nothing to do with the temperature. Gates got the temperature under control because he's going to shoot right guard into the atmosphere. He's going to have spray cans of aerosol. Remember we went through that panic 50 years ago that if you use spray deodorant, you were ruining the ozone layer.
Yeah. Big, huge hole.
I mean,
opened up.
they come and go, these problems.
It
They
repaired-
come and go.
It repaired itself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
right.
sent some condensation.
I sense some condensation coming.
What am I doing here?
No idea.
I don't either.
Funny thing was this, I wasn't even trying to be funny.
No, you weren't.
We know.
Yeah, Ray. Yeah.
What's this? Oh, that ain't it. What's this? What's this? Here you go. Here you go. Maybe you just want to pick up and get the hell out of here. You don't have to go that far. You go to Sioux Falls. Now, that still could be destroyed in the nuclear winter. But why not? I mean, we all will be.
Okay.
We all will be.
Oh, well, someday.
So what difference does it make? You know, if Vlad starts shooting them off, we're done anyway. So be here, Sioux Falls. But while you're in Sioux Falls, things are going to be better for you because everything will be much cheaper. There's no state, corporate, or personal income tax. A ready and willing workforce. If you're designing a new business, you want to move your business or make an addition to your business. Sioux Falls, South Dakota is voted the best small city for business and careers by Forbes magazine. The whole state is great, but Sioux Falls is the state's largest city with a population of more than 290,000. And they got stuff. You know, they got orchestras and stuff, you know. And it's a good food town, and the commutes are easy, and the workforce is ready and willing to go. If you want to know how South Dakota stacks up against other states, well, they rank second in the nation for the lowest cost of doing business and the most business-friendly state and the best tax climate. Go to Sioux Falls Development, that's one word, SiouxFallsDevelopment.com.
Chicago's find, Joe Sourcheray.
So, I love your in-laws, but when one of your in-laws says he knows a guy that put up a pole shed once and he can throw yours up, no problem. If that guy isn't ShermanPoleBuildings.com, you need to get a divorce, get rid of that in-law. ShermanPoleBuildings.com should be the only call you make when it's time for a new, I don't care what, pole shed, barn door, toy box for your stuff. Sherman Pole Buildings, they've been going at it since 1976. They're a general contractor, so they're going to be able to handle every step of your build, no matter what your preference might be. If you want a small barn door, a large toy box, or even a luxury home, Sherman Pole Buildings can do all of those, no problem. If you want to finish the inside, again, no problem. But if you want it turnkey, that is not a problem either. It'd be a real joy for them to do the job for you, no matter what that job is. You do know what a barn door is. It's basically a residential pole building. They're very cost effective. They're quick to build and can be designed to fit any lifestyle, from out in the woods up north to right there in the middle of the city. The energy savings is amazing. Keeps you warm in the winter, cool in the summer. And barn doors can be adapted to most building locations. They're very adaptable. Don't be discouraged now. You may have heard some rumors about the financing aspect of throwing up a barn door. Sherman Pole Buildings can help you find the right mortgage banker. That is not going to be a problem. ShermanPoleBuildings.com is a get-it-done kind of company. They've been at it for many, many years. ShermanPoleBuildings.com. Quality erections since 1976.
I wish the forces of the climate change movement would turn against Gates and keep him reined in. He could ruin the earth. Guys like that could ruin the earth.
Well, let's hope he won't be able to.
Well, private citizens can't just go out and do that, right? They'll.
Well, I didn't think private citizens could launch rockets. Minneapolis business leaders have started a petition to oppose. See, it makes everything else you talk about seem inconsequential. We got a loose cannon out there who wants to shoot aerosol into the atmosphere to block out the sun. Who gives a bleep if there's a labor board in Minneapolis?
True. Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Makes life difficult. Minneapolis business leaders start a petition opposing a proposed labor standards board. I've semi-paid attention to this, wondering what this is.
What is it?
Many business organizations have started an online petition opposing the city's council recent vote to create a 15-person labor standards board to oversee minimum wage laws, employee benefits, and training. Don't we have those kinds of mechanisms already in place?
There should be.
Yep, we do.
Loon Cafe owner Tim Mahoney said the plan is to get enough signatures to convince Mayor Fry to veto the measure, but I think the city council probably has enough votes to override the veto. If we can get 2,000 signatures, he says he will veto it, Mahoney said. That's all I have. I stapled the wrong story together.
Would you like to hear from Minneapolis City Council member Jason Chavez talking about this very thing?
Yes.
For those of you that want to know what this would do, basically any of the bars and restaurants that survived up until now through pandemic, George Floyd, people not working downtown anymore, this will put an end to basically the rest of that are still standing. Here's Jason Chavez, Minneapolis Ward 9.
If corporations do not want to be a part of this advisory board, by all means, whatever, I'll bring that policy forward without your input.
Wow.
You should be thankful that you're getting a seat at the table to influence policy in the city of Minneapolis.
Wow.
You should be thankful that you're giving an opportunity to sit with workers to develop policy that is fiscally sound, that is going to improve lives of residents. I am sorry. I am not going to support a delay. I support this policy. I even wish it was stronger.
Okay, look him up again, Rookie. I would suspect that he's a lifelong activist He's probably never really worked.
Ward 9 is the Phillips neighborhood, Longfellow, Powderhorn Park.
It's
and
mystery.
Corcoran.
It's Mystery Central. And so he's probably appealing to his constituents with this kind of talk. But you realize what this guy just said? We'll tell you what you're going to do, and you're damn lucky that we're here to listen, that we'll allow you to sit with us.
It's an entitled
What
mentality.
the hell is this fruitcake doing?
Joe, that's very poor people live in Ward 9.
I know.
Maybe try this out in Ward 9 before you make the rest of the city do this.
Go ahead, Kenny. You finish.
No, you've got it. Go ahead with it.
Born and raised in the 9th Ward, East Phillips neighborhood. Immigrant parents from Puebla, Mexico. He went to Anderson United Community School, graduated from Cristo Rey Jesuit High School on East Lake in 2014, and the College of St. Scholastica, a bachelor's degree in 2018. After graduating, served as committee legislative aide to Representative Carlos Mariani and Representative Mohamed Noor. He worked on both the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform Committee and the Workforce and Business Development Committee at the Minnesota House of Representatives. Played a critical role in the passing of the 2020 Police Accountability Act after George Floyd, the 2021 Omnibus Employment and Economic Development Bill in Minnesota to support small businesses and residents affected by COVID pandemic, and worked with community organizations on renters and protections and immigration rights.
It's as I thought. He's steeped in the idea, and this is true the closer you get to the country's tallest buildings, he's steeped in the idea that government is everything.
Yeah.
He's never had any other kind of experience in his life. And here he is, apparently the leading proponent of yet another layer businesses would have to jump through in order to do business in Minneapolis. There are probably already safeguards. We have a minimum wage law. We have benefits laws. This is yet another dynamic that business owners would have to get the approval of the likes of Jason Chavez in order to do business in Minneapolis. That's why I guess I do Sioux Falls ads. See you later. I mean, you got a city council here, and particularly in this untamed voice of Cesar Chavez, or whatever the hell his name is, Jason Chavez. He play it again, Chris.
Yeah, this is. I can't believe what I heard.
Stunning. It's stunning.
If corporations do not want to be a part of this advisory board, by all means, whatever. I'll bring the policy forward without your input. You should be thankful that you're getting a seat at the table to influence policy in the city of Minneapolis. You should be thankful that you're giving an opportunity to sit with workers to develop policy that is fiscally sound, that is going to improve lives of residents. I am sorry. I am not going to support a delay. I support this policy. I even wish it was stronger.
Nobody needs you, Chavez, to improve working conditions. You don't know anything about it. This is unbelievable.
Gee, elders, if you live in a community in a city less than 10,000 people, can you imagine somebody on your city council talking like this at a council meeting and what the entire city and community would do to that person? Oh, my God. Yeah. Wow.
Also, a seat at the table included people that are here illegally, just for information.
But this is this is the fault of the voters. This is what we have allowed to happen.
This is what you get.
This is what you get. You get these uncontrolled people with zero experience in the real world, zero, embracing the idea that they know better how businesses and corporations should run.
Elders should also find Ward 9 on a map and then take a little tour of Ward 9. And if you carry, make sure you got one in the chamber, my friend.
Yeah.
Kenny, I went to go visit our friends at Elevated a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Dear God, what happened to that area?
Elevated, I believe. Are they
42nd and Hiawatha?
Yeah, okay. So they're in Ward 12. And Ward 12 is the one I lived in. But it's basically the same neighbor. The further south you go, the safer it is.
But to get there, you got to go through Ward 9.
That corridor, you're right, along Hiawatha And it starts all the way down at 46 where that Walgreens is.
Yep.
This is stunning because he's saying out loud stuff that
Yeah.
we all have always known, but they were never stupid enough to say it.
You're lucky enough to have a spot at the table.
You're lucky to have
I don't
me.
need you. I will shove this down your throat.
And the guy will get reelected because nobody pays attention. This guy shouldn't be a politician.
But to lump a guy like Tim at the Loon Cafe, that's not a corporation.
Well, that's who wrote this. Jay Coles wrote this. He went and talked to the guy.
I
who
know
runs the
Tim.
Loon.
Tim's a great dude.
Yeah.
But it's like he's not running a corporation. He's trying to keep his bar's lights on, for God's sake.
It's an amazing situation. You've got the wrong political group running both cities, but that's true all over the country. The cities run by the left are in poor repair. They're in poor physical health. They're in poor ideological health. They're in poor workforce health. And it's because basically you have too many Jason Chavezes who have blindly come to the idea that they control how things should work. The guy has no clue. He's never worked.
Speaking of Jay Coles and Minneapolis, it reminded me of a piece he had running on 5 yesterday where we now have in Minneapolis illegal dump sites where the residents just decide, you know what, this parking lot would be a good place to toss out 16 tires and 4 bags of trash.
I saw that on the news.
And it's become such a problem in Minneapolis. Oh, my God.
And didn't we have a story not that long ago, John? I think it was in your news, where we've already in Minneapolis driven away so much business that the tax increase is because of that, right? On the residential property taxes have gone up because we've driven away so much business already.
Both cities flourished under Democratic control. There's no denying that. They flourished. They don't flourish under this quasi-socialist Marxist control.
Yeah, no, these aren't Democrats.
These aren't
Joe.
Democrats.
Right.
These are bad people. These are bad people who do not have the wealth and prosperity of this country or its citizens in their heart. They are out to completely change everything, and that's all they know because they've never experienced anything else. Mm-hmm. But as recently as the Super Bowl, which was February of 2018. February 2018, the city was still functioning. It functioned all through the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s with Democratic control. So did St. Paul. They were booming cities, and they're not booming cities under this pathetic leftward activist lean, which is ruinous. And you can see it with your own eyes, and you can hear it when you listen to somebody like Chavez. You can hear what's happening.
But I just thought the Star Tribune read a piece last week where the guy's riding his bike and everything's going to be okay.
No, the Star Tribune is...
that
taking
guy.
pictures of the city?
Jeez. Yeah. What a nipple licker that dink is. Jesus.
It's just amazing.
I couldn't believe that story.
Just amazing.
I was so bummed that came in the paper, Kenny, when you were on vacation.
Oh, no, I saw it. It's been making the rounds. Yeah.
Hear that wind last night?
Yeah.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Maybe that wind was banging your garage door.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, what that tells you is the fit isn't right. Get a hold of Precision Garage Door. You need a winter tune-up anyway. They go through everything, the rollers, the springs, all the apps. They can do it all, and if you need a new door, they can do that. And that's a free on-site new door consultation. They have model doors for every budget. Most importantly, a new garage door can increase the value of your home, but it also improves security and insulation. GLers have really, really counted on Precision Door MN because you need a garage door guy. They serve western Wisconsin, the entire metro. They don't charge more for weekends. They're really on top of their game. Put this number in your phone contacts. Precision Door, 612-263-6985. If you want to go online, I ain't stopping you. Mm-hmm. You can go online and book your service appointment or book a free on-site garage door consultation at Precision Door MN. That's one word, precisiondoormn.com.
The earth is not your mother. The Joe Sourcheray Show.
Here's John Heidt.
Thank you, Joe. This news update brought to you by North American Banking Company. Minnesota DFL Chair Ken Martin this morning announced his bid to lead the Democratic National Committee as its chair. He announced the decision on social media, posting on X, "We were in debt and disarray, but we brought people together, built a winning coalition, and delivered results. I'm ready to get to work to rebuild our party." Along with the post, Martin showed a video of his policy wins and influence in politics in Minnesota. According to CBS News, current DNC Chair Jamie Harrison is not expected to rerun for the position. Martin is currently the vice chair of the DNC nationally. He's been the Minnesota DFL chair since 2011. A St. Paul man who was shot in the head nearly 2 weeks ago has died from his injuries, according to police. They say 24-year-old Dewan Hemphill was shot close to the Minnesota State Capitol in the area of Rice Street and University on November 5th. He was taken that night to Regents Hospital, but died on Friday, 10 days after the shooting. Death still being investigated as a homicide, but no arrests have been made. If you have any information, you are asked to call the St. Paul Police Department. Police say 2 people who were arrested on suspicion of shoplifting at Rosedale Center are connected to an organized retail theft ring that's caused losses of $1 million from Lululemon stores across the country. 44-year-old Jadian Richards and 45-year-old Aqueli Laus Richards, both of Danbury, Connecticut, were arrested on Thursday after a Lululemon retail crime investigator notified local authorities that the pair were seen stealing from the store at Rosedale Center the day before. Richards and Laws Richards were initially stopped when the security alarm went off as they were leaving the Rosedale location. Richards claimed he was actually racially profiled and accused store employees of activating the alarm on purpose. They were allowed to leave. It was only after Richards and Laws Richards left the premises that the officer who responded to the report realized the investigator had texted the day before to notify him the couple and a third person had stolen close to $5,000 worth of merchandise from the same store. The Lululemon investigator then discovered that Richards and Laws Richards were at the Lululemon store in Woodbury. Woodbury police took them into custody. The investigator who worked with law enforcement estimated they had returned nearly $500,000 worth of stolen items.
Come on.
Yeah, stores documents the value of the missing items as a loss too, so the company estimates the total financial loss to be close to $1 million. Richards and Laws Richards are each charged with 1 count of felony organized retail theft. If convicted, they face up to 15 years in prison.
Go get a job and do something. Don't just steal.
I like Lululemon.
What do you mean?
Their pants are good. They got good pants.
I got a Lululemon backpack.
They got good pants.
Yeah.
What are you? That's girls' clothes.
No, it isn't.
No, they sell men's clothing
It's
too.
that stuff that makes your butt look good.
No. Well, my butt looks
You
good.
look at my
but
butt, are you?
The reason
not
I like
purpose.
Lululemon pants is one of my pair has a rip in the knee, a
So,
little cut in the
okay,
knee,
I just
but
wanna
nobody
was-
can see it.
You make fun of me for what I wear. I'll occasionally put on a pair of overalls or, working man clothes.
Yeah.
And you're walking around in a Lululemon.
These are Lululemon pants.
Do you call them bottoms?
They're pants. They're regular pants.
Trousers.
Are you packing?
Now, do you wear
is
those
money.
when you go to the salon to get your nails did?
It's a roll of money, I guess.
John, keep going, please.
You wear Lululemons. The mayor of Garage Logic wears women's clothes.
They're not. They're pants.
Unbelievable.
They're trousers.
In his
What are you-
defense, Kenny,
Ooh.
the CP is the one that makes the purchase for him. Correct?
No, he's walking into a Lulu.
No,
he walks
I've
right
got-
by the purses.
I'm not saying I go to the
Finger,
store.
finger touches a couple of the purses as he walks
I
by.
can't believe what I've learned today.
Yep.
Wow.
You got a coin purse?
I do a little shape like a football.
Okay, good.
You make fun of me
and
because
you have to squeeze it.
Yeah, you gotta
nobody
squeeze it.
needs 7 chainsaws. What kind of hillbilly? You're driving grain cart, harvest. You got a cape of deer,
You gotta
and
be-
you're
you have-
walking
you have to-
around
you
in
have to-
women's pants.
You have to be quiet now, John.
I was gonna say, Joe, you expect me to carry on? How was I supposed to
Okay.
break through that little
you have,
tirade?
Chris, you have to play. Okay, Kenny.
Okay, Kenny.
Okay, Kenny.
From the From the Star Tribune, the owners of the fabled CC Club in South Minneapolis say the famous dive bar could be up for sale in the near future. Randy Siegel, one of the co-owners of the bar at the corner of Lyndale and 26th Street, said there have been no formal steps toward putting the club on the market, but Siegel said he and co-owner Steve Shapiro both turned 75 this year and find themselves contemplating retirement. The two have co-owned the club for the past decade. The bar, originally opened in 1933, would come to develop a legendary status in the city as a place for musicians and hipsters. Notably, a few songs by the Replacements were inspired by hanging out at the CC Club, including the track "Here Comes a Regular." Earlier this year, Siegel mentioned to others he would look to retire and sell the business. Whoever takes over should have knowledge of the bar business and managerial experience, Siegel said. He became a co-owner a little over a decade ago. He's acted as its manager. In 2021, French Meadow Cafe co-owner Lynn Gordon sold her stake in the CC Club, making Siegel and Shapiro the sole owners of the bar.
Never been there.
Here's the schedule. 1 p.m. CC Club. 3 p.m. you go over to Williams Peanut Bar basement for their progressive. Then at 6 p.m. you go up to Liquor Lyle's because they got a happy hour going there. Shut that down at about 9. Go back to the CC Club, and then somehow, I have no idea how, make it home.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured out how from the CC Club to home how that happened.
All right.
I wonder why you had heart problems.
Good old days, huh?
Oh my God! I spent so many hours in the CC Club. Oh.
During the day?
A man who's protesting.
Yeah, during the day. I was working morning radio.
He's doing morning radio. 1 o'clock is his 5 p.m.
Yeah, I'm pulling the cork at 9:30. Such, come on.
A man whose protest atop a South St. Paul billboard is stretched for weeks has been charged with using a slingshot to shoot metal objects at police and the workers below. 46-year-old Matthew John Becker of West St. Paul was charged in Dakota County District Court with obstructing the legal process and first-degree property damage, both felonies. Also charged with misdemeanor assault for allegedly taking aim from the billboard near Interstate 494 in Concord. Becker has been on the billboard since October 4th in connection with his allegations that Dakota County has protected a Burnsville man who court records show was convicted in Scott County of criminal sexual conduct. As recently as this Sunday, Becker posted the latest of many YouTube videos from the perch. He said that despite feeling a bit under the weather, he has no intention of coming down. According to the complaint, on October 25th, police were sent to the billboard regarding a disturbance. Workers were there trying to erect a fence around the base of the billboard when they were struck by objects Becker fired out of his slingshot. One object hit a police squad vehicle while an officer was standing close by. The officer recovered the object that resembled a small metal ball bearing. One worker was also hit in the ankle and left with a red mark. The complaint says officers had to distract Mr. Becker to allow the employees to leave the range of the slingshot as he was intentionally targeting them.
So
I've got a question.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Does he come down from the billboard, or has he been literally living on the billboard?
I believe he's been living on the billboard. I drive by it all the time.
Well, why can't we shoot him down? You know,
Poison dart him.
with a
Get out the poison dart.
bow and arrow or something.
Shoot back at him.
Yeah.
What about food and
Well, that's
other
the logistics. I never see anybody around
That's
the billboard.
what I was wondering.
bodily,
So if you're leaving,
Is there a little shack up there?
no,
What
he's
about-
got like he has a little tent. It's a double billboard, so that he can stay in between the.
Oh.
So
What
it's
about
not-
the necessaries, though, Matthew? Once or twice a day,
I think he's got the bucket up there. He's got the old Home Depot 5-gallon bucket. Up
I
there.
got a better
I'm
plan.
going to need another bucket.
Why don't we just ignore the guy?
Well, if he's shooting ball bearings at people.
Oh, that's true. But he's looking for attention is, I guess, what I was getting at.
But this is the only time he gets attention is when he does this stuff. If you drive by it, you'll see an ugly billboard, and you might catch a glimpse of him, but he's not waving
Joe.
or.
Paint guns.
Anything. Shoot him
Yeah,
down. Shoot
yeah.
him down with a paint gun.
Why don't we take a little break here and throw it to somebody?
How about we throw it to break?
Chris, maybe? Oh.
Here's a man who spends hours in hardware stores, sifting through the nuts and bolts of life. Joe Sourcheray.
In national and international headlines, Vladimir Putin has given the green light to a fresh nuke doctrine, threatening to use nuclear weapons against the West if Ukraine fires long-range missiles on Russian soil. Reports say Putin was furious when U.S. President Biden approved use of the far-reaching rockets by Ukraine after the first 1,000 days of war. Putin's propaganda mouthpiece, Dmitry Peskov, swore that the use of Western non-nuclear missiles by Ukraine's armies might spark a nuclear response. Russia has issued countless similar threats in the past, invoking fears of possible nuclear retaliation and escalation in the West.
The very reasonable question that we have is who told Biden to allow them to use those missiles?
And why now?
And who are those people? Right. That's what we don't know. We're onto something. We just don't know what.
Let's hope this is just an oldster rambling at the retirement home. You know what I mean?
No, he's not. No, this is somebody instructing him to do this.
I would hope not.
They couldn't get his picture taken because he was wandering around the rainforest.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a leash
Didn't
on
a couple
him.
people ask where he was
I
at?
guess so, yeah.
President-elect Trump has nominated former Wisconsin Representative Sean Duffy to be Transportation Secretary. Duffy represented Wisconsin from 2011 to 2019 in the House. He is currently co-host of The Bottom Line, a show on Fox Business. The network confirmed Duffy's last day at Fox was yesterday. Duffy first became known when he was a member of MTV's The Real World Boston in 1997, a competitor in Road Rules All-Stars in 1998.
Well, I'd like to also go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
He expected to nominate veteran Wall Street financier Howard Lutnick to lead the Commerce Department, according to people familiar with the matter. That would elevate one of the financial world's most vocal supporters of the president-elect to a crucial position overseeing the incoming administration's economic agenda.
This Duffy fellow, Sean Duffy, graduated from St. Mary's College, William Mitchell College of Law. He was a county prosecutor in Wisconsin for 8 years, served 8 years in Congress. He grew up in Hayward, home of the Lumberjack World Championships. Longtime fairgoers maybe remember Sean Duffy as a competitor in the Lumberjack show on the north side of the fairgrounds. He holds 2 world records in speed climbing. Duffy is married to Rachel Campos, whose grandparents were Mexican immigrants. She hosts a Spanish language program on the Fox News Spanish channel. Duffy and Campos have 9 children.
Wow, a whole baseball team.
Now, if that knucklehead mayor of South Bend, Indiana, was qualified to be the transportation secretary, it sure sounds like this guy is.
Yeah, I'm going with that too.
Kind of sounds like if you were stuck in traffic once, you qualify.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, let's be honest.
Oh, wow.
Pete.
Almost
Pete.
Almost all the votes are now in from Election Day. Still a few states with, 99% and 98% reporting. But for the most part, things are done. Our final tally shows Donald Trump with about 77 million votes, or 49.9% of the popular vote. Kamala Harris has a little over 74 million votes, or 48.2% of the popular vote. The electoral count, 312 to 226 votes in favor of Donald Trump. MSNBC host Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, fierce critics of Trump, said they traveled to Mar-a-Lago for a meeting with him to, quote, reopen lines of communications that would better serve their morning show viewers.
No, to save their jobs.
That too.
With feelings still raw 2 weeks after the election, their journey to Trump's Florida home hasn't gone over that well with a lot of fans and critics of Morning Joe. The show's anchor team had been so critical of Trump that in September, Scarborough said that it's not a reach to compare him to Adolf Hitler. On Monday's show, the host said they had reached out to Trump last Thursday and met with him the next day. It was the first time we've seen him in 7 years, Brzezinski said. She said Trump was cheerful and upbeat, even as the three of them discussed issues that they disagreed on. What we did agree on was to restart a communication, she said. Her father, of course, was the late Zbigniew Brzezinski, which I did not know. The national security advisor in Jimmy Carter's administration, often spoke with world leaders he disagreed with, and she said that's a job for journalists and commentators 2.
John, I'm sure that news story you just read is purely coincidental with this revelation over the weekend. Comcast, the media powerhouse behind NBC Universal, is stirring up major buzz in the entertainment industry. The company recently announced that it's considering a significant move, separating from several of its top cable networks, including MSNBC, CNBC, Bravo, and Oprah Winfrey's Oxygen.
Well, these two hypocrites are just trying to land on their feet.
That's, I guess, what I'm saying. Is I'm sure that's purely coincidental that they reached out to Trump.
Fat tissue cells keep a memory of obesity after dieting, with long-lasting changes to gene function, according to a new study. That study might help explain why a lot of people struggle to sustain long-term weight loss. Researchers analyzing fat tissue cells in humans and mice found epigenetic changes to the RNA of those with a history of obesity compared with control groups. Genes involved in metabolism for those individuals were turned off. Their fat cells also took in nutrients at a faster rate. After low-calorie diets, those with a history of obesity regained weight faster than their respective control groups. The study suggests a correlation, not necessarily causal tie, between the pace of weight regain and epigenetic markers for those with a history of obesity. Those molecular differences remained even after stomach reduction and gastric bypass surgery, with no known mechanism to reverse them. Researchers suggest their findings may emphasize the value of preventing fat in the first place.
I ain't fat. I got memories. See, it's a memory thing.
Yeah, see, I got you.
In your genes.
Can't you just forget it?
No. John, one more, because I got to take us to the Field Academy today.
One more. Let's see. Let's go with, how about this? No, let's not. Let's skip that. Let's go to eggs. Eggs have a complicated history when it comes to health and nutrition.
Yeah.
First, they're good, then they're bad, then food scientists say they're good again, and on and on. While researchers are once again placing eggs in the good basket, finding that the controversial sources of cholesterol may be even better for your brain than we thought. The team from the University of California, San Diego discovered that older women who eat eggs each week may experience less memory loss and less decline in their brain functions over time. It's latest research to suggest that eggs, a food often criticized because of cholesterol, could actually be of benefit cognitively among certain age groups.
What does RFK say? Because if he says they're okay, then I'm all for it.
I'm waiting for him to say something.
Okay.
Say, I hope you get to EcoFun. They still got Yamaha electric bikes on sale because Yamaha wants them gone in order to bring out the new models. You're going to get a great price at EcoFun. The electric bike capital of the world. It's in Forest Lake / Columbus on Highway 97, immediately west of 35. And they got a great big parking lot, so there's no excuse not to leave there without the perfect fit and the perfect equipment at a tremendous price. I've told you before, this is a great store for fun. They've got youth recreational equipment, and they've got ATVs, they've got snow equipment, motorcycles, scooters, helmets, apparel, a service department, but really the electric bike capital of the world is at EcoFun, where Yamahas are on sale. There's also an EcoFun in Burnsville on the County Road of Life on the Service Road of Life near County Road 42. This Yamaha inventory is declining. It stands to reason we're heading towards winter, but there's still time to get a great deal on an electric bike at EcoFun Motorsports. That's ecofunmotorsports.com.
You cannot stop him. He'll just make a move. Joe Sourcheray.
I want to take you to the failed academy. As I say, we're on to something.
You're bringing me down, aren't you?
We have a professor at Queen Mary University in London. Her name is Catherine Yusof. And it's ironic because we were talking about Bill Gates. She looks like Bill Gates. I'm not making that up. There she is.
Oh, yeah.
She looks like Bill Gates.
Yeah. I don't need to see
Did
that
you see
again.
that, YouTubers? And she believes that geology is racist.
Geology.
That's right,
That's
Matt.
the study of your heritage.
No, the study of the Earth's rocks and natural resources is
What am I thinking
racist
Gerontology.
and linked to white supremacy. Catherine Yusof is an academic at Queen Mary University in London, said the hard science subject of geology was riven by systemic racism and colonialism. All right? I told you, what these Mysterians don't want is whiteness.
Right.
She also suggested paleontology, the study of prehistoric life through fossils, was to blame for racism. She calls it paleontology. Get it? P-A-L-E.
Got it.
In her book, Geologic Life, the professor argued the extraction of gold, iron, and other metals was racist. She wrote that geology began as a colonial practice that created hierarchies, promoted materialism, destroyed environments, and led to climate change. Well, she's really got all the boxes checked there. The theft of land, mining, and other geological aspects of colonialism led toward the white supremacy of the planet and resulted in geotrauma, Professor Yusof wrote. She claims that geology continues to function within a white supremacist praxis. Okay. Demands to decolonize courses led by activist students and lectures have spread across UK universities, backed by official bodies such as the Quality Assurance Agency for Higher Education. The agenda began in social sciences and humanities and is now being applied to math and science. It uses critical race theory to support the view that knowledge studied in universities is male and white and has been used to attain and perpetuate the Western global domination through racism and injustice. Okay, I'm glad to see it corroborated when something I've been on to is demonstrated to me by one of these failed academicians. This is what's happening, and it's happening in this country. And really, we've said it here before. The Academy believes this country was flawed from the outset. They want to completely undo it. They are. Climate change is their last gasp, I think, to undo it and strip us of all accomplishment and. But by her thinking, you would have to think that nothing was ever supposed to happen in the world. Nothing was ever supposed to happen. Because if anything happened and a white person happened to be involved in it, that would be deconstructed by these people in the failed academy. So nothing was ever supposed to happen. This country was not supposed to be stumbled upon by white guys, who was a Jewish guy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And nothing was ever supposed to happen. This country was not supposed to be founded. Minerals were not supposed to be found. Or if they were supposed to be found by black and brown people.
How Trump got elected.
That's right. That's why Donald Trump got elected.
Exactly.
Has anybody else on the staff looked up her profile?
I have not.
And could read it for me?
Did.
You did? Is it from the college, John? The School of Geography?
Geography.
Can you read that profile paragraph? Because there's so many words in there that I can't get through. But the profile is hysterical.
I am a transdisciplinary geographer focused on inhuman geography.
I think it's inhuman.
I think it's inhuman also. I understand the inhuman as a place from which to think about earthly relations and inhumane histories. Theoretically, I engage historical, geophilosophical, and black feminist methods to speak to issues of environmental change, empires of geologic practices, and the politics of planetary states. Specifically, I am interested in the role of inhuman epistemologies in race, gender, and subjectivity for more equitable environmental world building.
Okay, John. Now, I said before that minerals in rock shouldn't have been discovered unless they were discovered by black and brown people. My God, if I would read further, I come upon this quote. Broadly, black, brown, and indigenous subjects have an intimacy with the earth that is unknown to the structural position of whiteness.
Huh?
Wow.
Yeah, we're not. We cannot understand a rock the way a brown person could understand.
She would
a rock.
not get a job outside of the failed university.
Of course not.
This is a person who would fail in real life.
To tell a story of rocks is to account for a eugenic materialism in which white supremacy made surfaces built on racialized undergrounds. I don't even know what the hell that means. Critics last night slammed the decolonization agenda as anti-scientific and said the exploitation of the land was almost as old as mankind itself and not race-dependent. Dr. John Armstrong, a reader in financial mathematics at King's College London, said the program of decolonization is politically contentious, anti-scientific, and consistently associated with calls to lower academic standards. Well, of course it is. But here's the deal. Chris McGovern, the chairman of the Campaign for Real Education, said geology is no more racist than fish and chips. It is an entirely neutral term. Yeah. Those seeking to decolonize the curriculum are, in fact, building their own sinister empire of thought control and intolerance. Applied to exploitation, it involves mining, and this is almost as old as mankind and not race-dependent, as tourists are reminded when they visit our prehistoric flint mines, such as Grimes Graves, the English heritage site in Norfolk.
Yes.
Okay, here's the
Who
deal.
said that? Tell me again who said that. That was brilliant.
That was said by a guy named Chris McGovern because there's an outfit in England. He's the chairman of an outfit called the Campaign for Real Education. So there are GLers in England reacting to the failed academy the same way we do. But what the failed academy, and she looks just like Bill Gates, just identical to Bill Gates.
She kind of does.
And I'm not making that up. And she what she's saying is nothing should have ever happened. Nothing should happen. There shouldn't be the world today. There shouldn't be the world we know. There shouldn't be anything. I don't know what. I guess we should still be wearing leaves or something. I don't know what the hell they want. They don't want what we have, which is an old psychiatric principle. Want what you have. But
I can tell you this: nobody wants what she's got.
But she's saying we shouldn't want what we have. What we have is the result of racism, colonization, imperialism, and white supremacy. How can you argue with someone this far gone? She's gone. It's over. She's suffering from geotrauma.
Geotrauma.
Yeah.
I bet she was a lot of fun to be around the night of November 5th.
You know, when I was a kid, I found arrowheads as part of a scouting situation.
Did you really?
Yeah, I found some arrowheads. I guess that's because I was white.
Well, 100%.
They were planted. Give me a break. You didn't actually find them. Somebody
did.
put them there
No,
and said,
I
hey,
did.
go look. The one looks like, here's a picture of the one.
His dad had a drawer full of them.
Oh, I did. I found an arrowhead or two.
Yeah.
Where
just
did you
like
find them?
when I see somebody on the beach with a metal detector, I go drop a few quarters just so I can watch the guy.
I found them on the shores of the lake where St. Paul gets its water. The name of the lake is escaping me. Badness.
Yeah.
This
I was
Bottomidi spear.
Have you guys ever heard the word inhuman before?
Inhumane.
Yeah, not inhuman, though.
She's inhuman.
It is inhuman.
Lacking human qualities of compassion and mercy, cruel and barbaric.
Now, wouldn't it be fun if she could possibly answer a question, which I find unlikely? But my question would be, okay, what do you want? She either wants I don't know what she wants, but maybe we're supposed to. What? I don't know what. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, no matter what she's saying or thinking, it's there and it happened and it's part of what happened. I don't understand what she wants to
They have a hard time dealing with history as it happened. Yeah.
This is not rewriting history.
What is this?
Making up. No, this is deciding that history should not have existed.
It was wrong.
Yeah. Everything was wrong. Everything that we have, see, do, eat, examine, discover is wrong. None of it should have happened.
How do these people live with the randomness of day-to-day life?
Well, you said it earlier. The only way she can live is within the confines of the failed academy.
But, Joe, you mentioned during the break there that you saved a young lady's life by who was walking or riding.
No, this moron was riding her bike today, and she went right through the red light, and only through my natural athletic ability and tremendous reflexes did I not kill her.
Yes. How does Professor Catherine Yusoff deal with those kind of day-to-day, mundane day-to-day?
She probably doesn't leave the walls of the Queen Mary University. She probably has a little hobble, and she hobble.
Looking at her picture, John, you have the same webpage
Just
up
like
I
Bill
do.
Gates.
Yeah.
Looks like Bill Gates.
Did Catherine, maybe she used to be Kevin?
I don't know that part. I don't know that part.
It's, the first thing I thought, and this is horrible, and probably it's impolitic.
Well, it's because you're racist and you're white.
Well, all I could think of was Austin Powers going, "She's a man, baby." That's all I could think of.
Maybe her name was Phil Gates.
Yeah.
Her name is, what the hell is her name? Catherine.
These are people.
I did notice.
Go ahead, John.
I'm sorry, Ken. I was just going to say this will all be fixed tomorrow. I understand. One of her books was actually printed. And I hate to see this because I love the University of Minnesota Press.
Yeah,
but they did.
They did it. Well, the academy's failed, John. The academy is failed.
You
the
guys,
industry is devoted to ruination of this country.
You know the GLer who last winter kept writing us emails about his wacko neighbor across the street and how they were having a hard time. I don't know, mowing the grass or
they
blowing
couldn't. It's snow blowing.
Table salt on the ice.
Yeah.
That's her. That's what those people are like. They don't know how to deal with day-to-day life.
Paleontology is racist. So fossils are racist.
Yeah.
Well, wait a minute. The dinosaur had nothing to do with it.
That petrified wood you've got on the shelf,
right.
That's racist.
So she suggested Okay, so the study of prehistoric life through fossils was partly to blame for racism. How could that even? That doesn't even make sense. A leaf that's petrified, maybe. No, the reason she survives in the failed academy is because she has the people who pay her completely confused.
She's the kind of person that drives away from the gas pump with the gas hose still in the car.
Here she is.
Yeah.
Yeah, have at it.
Hey, Phil.
Put her right up there.
Some mad baby.
Mad baby.
Mad baby.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Only because?
Yeah, I can.
Yes,
I can.
Well, it's only because they come to us all the way from, in this instance, from Cleveland. I trust and hope that the Lymans will begin their world travels again. This is from the Traveling Lymans. It was on this day.
November 19th.
In 1855. Minnesota's first German-language newspaper, the Minnesota Deutsche Zeitung, was published in St. Paul by editors Frederick Orthwein and Albert Wolf. It was the second non-English newspaper in Minnesota, the first being Dakota Tawaksitu, Dakota Friend, published in English and Dakota by missionary Gideon Pond from 1850 to 1852. And also in the same year, on this day,
November 19th?
In 1855, the same year, the singing Hutchinson family of New Hampshire founded the town of Hutchinson. in McLeod County.
What a coincidence.
From 1841 until the close of the Civil War, the Hutchinsons toured the United States giving concerts of popular and patriotic songs. Well, they were racist. They were white.
Clearly.
On this day,
1119.
in 1902, two racist masked men robbed Anoka's Monte Carlo casino. An article in the racist Anoka Herald reported that the whole thing was carried out with good humor, even though they were racist. Although it was likely not humorous for the attendant who was racist, who was shot twice by racist bullets fired by racist robbers when he tried to escape.
Much
Joe,
racism.
stop it.
On this day,
On November 19th.
in 1945, Super Value Groceries received Minnesota's first shipment of air-freighted vegetables. The cargo included tomatoes, asparagus, figs, and avocados, and a special basket was given to Minneapolis Mayor Hubert H. Humphrey, who was actually just a DFLer. He wasn't a nutcase, and Governor Edward J. Thye. They got the vegetables, came by air.
What did we do before that?
They had to go out to the fields and get them.
Gotcha.
On this day,
On November 19th.
in 1971, radioactive cooling water from the Monticello nuclear power plant overflowed its tank and eventually reached the Mississippi River. That's it. We don't, I don't think anyone died or anything like that.
It's spewed.
I should send this day in history to Catherine Yusoff, the professor, and just have her mark it up with a red pen and tell me how wrong all these things are.
Yep.
Even though they happened,
Let's go.
they shouldn't have happened. Nothing should have happened on this earth.
I'm going to throw my racist gum away.
Nothing should have happened on this earth. Nothing. According to this complete lunatic, did I tell you she looks like Bill Gates?
Yeah, she looks pretty bad.
Just like that. Yeah. Thanks, you patriarchs, patriarchal racists.
After you take that geology test, head on over to the Garage Logic YouTube channel, because on that YouTube channel, we are posting daily content, including, you should subscribe only because you can watch the Garage Logic podcast each and every single day on the YouTube channel. That's right, starting at noon each and every day, Garage Logic broadcasts live on YouTube. You can also follow us along on all of our social media channels, which includes Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and don't forget to sign up for the Daily Logician. It's an email. It comes right to your inbox each and every single day. It includes the most recent episode of the podcast, and it also includes a weekly note directly from the mayor himself. It's called Saturdays with Such.